Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor.org podcast. I'm your host, Colin Connors. My wonderful co-host, Dennis Patrick, is currently lost at sea, but I have with me one of my favorite survivors from all time, from Survivor One World, Jonas! Jonas, say hello.
Hello!
So, Jonas, it's been about a year since your wonderful appearance on Survivor. What have you been up to since then?
Oh, man, all kinds of stuff. I've been working on a pilot for a TV series. My producer asked me not to divulge the contents because somebody might rip off the show. But we'll know in about July when my contract's done with CBS whether or not it's going to be picked up by a network. Been doing all kinds of stuff. I've been actually hosting an event called Chef War, kind of like Iron Chef, but like a live Iron Chef competition. And then I've also been rehabbing a property, doing some real estate on the side as well. So I've got my hands in all kinds of pies.
Are you still keeping up with Survivor?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I watched it last night. I had to record it, but I watched it and I felt for Francesca. It was brutal. Brutal.
Yeah, it was I think it showed the harsh reality that is Survivor.
Yeah, and oh man, I mean, but gosh, twice.
The first time.
I mean, man, that was just brutal.
So let's go back in time a little bit. How did you first get involved with Survivor, and did you apply?
Yeah. So I've been watching since season 1. Richard Hatch, the whole, I mean, I've been a diehard fan from day one. I don't think I was like, I wasn't like you, like making podcasts and, playing games online, but I faithfully watched every single episode.
Who were some of your early favorite survivors?
Man, so many. But I would say that like one of my favorite guys was Fabio, actually.
One of the dual winners.
I really liked Fabio. Like I liked the fact that he was a good guy. He wasn't like a total shyster, but he was still strategic and he still had game, and he won. I mean, it was like, to me, he was like the guy. I wish I could have played like him.
I was about to say, you probably got a lot of your gameplay from Fabio because you were so good under the radar for the longest time. And you were my pick to win up until
the
episode right after Colton left. You got a confessional right after the main intro, and that's always a bad sign. And your confessional was about cooking, and that's when I went, no! Oh, is it going to happen?
Yeah. No, I mean, looking back on it now, I think that was probably, like, if I could do it all over again.
Which you should.
For example, okay, let me give you an example of, like, for example, Andrea, this season, I think she was the prime example of coming out too strong too early. There's a happy medium there, and I just was a little too far under the radar. And when I talked to Kim after the game, she said, you know what? I saw you playing the exact same game as me. I saw you flying under the radar, which put me on the radar. And what I realized is you can't wait till the merge to start making your move. You have to do it pre-merge sometime. But you can't be like Andrew and just come out, shooting your silver bullets from the get-go, because that's not going to work either. So, and I mean, there is, after playing it now, I realize there is some elements of luck, but I realize that, doing the whole Colton's bitch, fly under the radar, that was kind of dumb. Like, I should have stepped it up a little, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that was going to be a question later on. What did your family and friends think of the Colton's bits comment? Because that's kind of almost what you're known for. That, and you were given a winner's edit. Have anyone ever talked to you about that? How you were seen as a winner?
No, I've gotten all kinds of crap about that. But, I mean, like, it was sort of like, at the time, I just thought it was a funny thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Troy and I, and so me, Troy, Leaf, Tarzan, we never did trust Colton ever, and we just pretended like he was running the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was kind of I think it was just more to get a reaction. And I thought, when I said that, I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to air that one. That'll be good.
And that's actually something I was going to talk on a little bit later, but you set up the question beautifully. Tarzan, in his exit interviews, talked about how Colton really wasn't running that much, that Tarzan did a lot, and that you did a lot too, informing a lot of the strategies, and you guys just let Colton be the figurehead.
Yeah, well, I don't think Tarzan did any type of strategizing. I mean, that guy was...
I definitely want to hear your interpretation of Tarzan.
So Tarzan, okay, so if you remember the episode that I got voted off, Tarzan goes up to Mike and says, "Hey, Mike, are you with us?" Mike goes, yeah. And then the very next second, Mike's like, "I was never with Tarzan. Shoot, I'm with the girls." So that was like classic Tarzan, where he thought he knew everything, but he knew nothing. And that was the problem, was he just was completely clueless the whole time. And he thought that he knew what was going on, but he just screwed up everybody's plan, and they just took him along because he was an idiot, you know?
Well, let's go back to the beginning of the game. Why did you align with Tarzan and Colton and Leaf? Like, did you ever consider aligning with Mike and Jay?
I did, but I knew, like, usually the strong buff guys are the first to go, and I knew that wasn't a great idea. Plus, we just from the very get-go, for some reason, me, Mike, and Matt, we just rubbed each other the wrong way. At least they rubbed me the wrong way, and I just had this feeling like these guys are shysters, and they're going to screw me over.
Yeah.
I just felt that with my gut, and I mean, I was right. You know, they were just. I mean, everybody was out to get everybody. I have no problems with them now, but I just didn't trust them at all.
Was Colton edited fairly?
Yeah. I mean, listen, he got what he wanted, man. I mean, it was obvious that he said things that were brutal, and it's not like anybody, put words in his mouth. Mm-hmm. He willfully wanted, I think he wanted to be a villain. And I think, he's a super duper duper fan. Colton knew more than Jeff Probst did. I mean, they were having this trivia challenge one night at Tribal, and Jeff's like, "I give up."
Yeah, you got to give me more details about the trivia challenge.
Okay, so for example, one day, Colton, we were talking about some season, okay, and I was pretending like I had only watched like 5 seasons ever. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Yeah, I watched every season, and I could tell you anything about Survivor." So we were talking about one season, I forget which one it was. He's like, "Oh yeah." So he names all the people that were on the show, and then he goes, "Yeah, and the sponsor that year was Target, blah, blah, blah."
Wow.
And he starts naming the sponsor.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
So, no, this kid knows, like,
yeah,
hands down, if I had to put $1 million down on anybody, I'd put on Colton. That kid really, I think he does have a photographic memory, and he knows everything about every player that's ever played. He knows their name, their last name, what they do, what clothes they wore. I mean, he could tell you when they got voted out, too.
Colton is, a hardcore Survivor fan. Yeah. But didn't he watch Samoa and Heroes vs. Villains and all these other seasons where the villain did not win? What do you think was... Because that's what I was confused about the whole time. I was like, anyone that knows anything about Survivor knows you can't be a jerk and win.
No, and that's the thing is, like, he had all this trivia, but strategically he was absolutely clueless. Like, the very first day, he went and slept with the women. Oh. I mean, we're like... and he didn't help out at all at camp. He was literally sleeping with the enemy. We're like, okay, this guy is like Mr. Super Duper Survivor fan. Like, what kind of strategy is it? I mean, like, he was just asking to get voted out. So, yeah, I mean, strategically, he was pretty clueless, but he sure had a lot of trivial knowledge about the game, you know.
But it clearly didn't translate well to... I mean, he was able to get Monica voted out, but apart from that, that's really all I can see he did.
Yeah, no, it was... Yeah, he wasn't that great strategically. I mean, and he was... Yeah, I wouldn't say that he's a great player at all.
Well, let's go back to you. How many times did you apply?
Once.
Oh, just once? You're one of those lucky guys?
Yeah. Well, okay, here's the thing. Like, it was very calculated, though. Like, I had done a lot of homework on the whole casting process. I read every single interview that I could find with Jeff Probst and the casting directors. And I read, specifically, I read the things that they weren't looking for. So it's not like I tried to be somebody that I wasn't. I just completely avoided every possible thing that they didn't like.
And what's some of the stuff they didn't like?
So they said, you know, don't come into the interview and tell us how much you need the money. Because, like, everybody says that. We hate that. And they're like, what else did they say? They said, you know, just don't try to be somebody that you're not. Like, don't do stupid things. Like, put a banana in your pants and, you know, like, just dumb stuff like that. Or don't get naked for no reason. I mean, not that I would have done that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and the other thing that I got, like, the things that I got was they just want people that speak their mind, that just are unfiltered, you know what I mean? Like, people like Kat, Colton, they love people like that aren't, like, very calculated in what they're going to say. Like, people that just fly off the handle and just say random stuff, they love that kind of stuff.
Kind of like a
So when I was interviewing, and in my video, I made sure that I was just very myself, just completely spontaneous. When they asked me questions, I just spit it right back. I didn't think about it. I just said what was on the top of my mind. And then, like, I totally played up the whole Asian sushi chef thing. I knew they were going to love that stuff, man.
Well, yeah, so you didn't mind being put in your sushi outfit on the island?
Not at all. I mean, that was my plan from the very beginning. I knew they were like, okay, so I was like, they've never had an Asian sushi chef. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, it's a very obvious choice.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, this is awesome. And that's actually the first thing that Mark Burnett told me. He's like, a sushi chef? Interesting. We've never had one before. And I was like, boom!
Yeah, you're putting me on, aren't you guys? Well, and your gameplay was kind of that Zen mentality that Jeff even said in his cast assessment, just kind of just lying low and letting it happen. What did you first think about seeing men versus women?
Well, see, because I had seen the previous men versus women, and I knew that it didn't really matter, you know, because it doesn't matter at the end. I knew there was going to be some type of a merge or a switch up or whatever. You know what I mean? I knew it wasn't going to be like, oh yeah, the men are just going to dominate every challenge. I knew that they were going to even it out somehow, and it would have nothing of an edge to be a man. You know what I mean? I figured if anything, it'll be to our demise, which it was. So I wasn't, like, really cocky about the whole thing. I was just like, dude, you know, this means nothing. So.
Do you think Michael stealing the stuff at the very beginning of the game is what set up the men versus women dynamic that actually dictated the Women Alliance taking everyone out?
Yeah, I'm sure that, you know, ruffled a few feathers. And that's actually, those were things that I picked up on in the very beginning. I'm like, this guy's a total shyster. I'm not aligned with this guy. You know what I mean? Even though I laughed, I thought it was funny. But it was things like that made me not trust the guy. But it definitely, you know, set that whole, like, oh, okay, you know, the women were like, oh, you want to play like that? You know what I mean?
You get to your camp and you find out that the big twist of the season is it's one world. What was it like for everyone, including you, to see that?
It was, I mean, it was interesting. I think what made it really weird was the fact that Colton could just go to the women's camp whenever he felt like it, and then bounce back and forth. That was the weird part for me. But it was great in the sense that, like, when I went to go and spear fish, I would, like, purposely walk right past their camp. Hey, ladies, how you doing? And be like, what?
Well, I remember you offered to, like, take the boat out and give them half of the fish you caught, and they still said no. And people were trying to blame you for being aggressive for that, and I'm like, those women, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's free food.
I know. I didn't get it either. I'm like, okay, wait, I do all the work and you get 50%?
Yeah.
Like, how's that unfair?
Yeah, it was, and that was one of the few times where I was like, these women, And the women actually in the first 2 episodes, Jeff was hitting them really, really, really hard. Why do you think that was?
I think Jeff loves to do that. Like, when I watched him, he's really good. He would have been a great attorney. Like, if he didn't, do the whole Survivor thing, he would have been an amazing attorney. I think it's just his way of extracting information, and, he's very good at, like, making people feel insecure and using that to his advantage to get more information, So, he's just really good at what he does, and...
do you think maybe his pushing actually maybe motivated the women?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think, especially like, there's a challenge where the women were doing this puzzle with the logs. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Is that the one where they got really behind, really bad?
They just got, oh man, it was brutal. And Jeff was like, this is not even a challenge. Like, unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, he was definitely trying to get under their skin to get them to start, getting pissed so that they do something. Absolutely.
What did you make of Kim, like, overall in her gameplay?
So, I told everybody, I told Jay, I told Troy's, and everybody that was in my alliance, when we went to the merge, I said, listen, you guys, Kim is the most dangerous person out here. And I said, why? Because you can't read her. She had the best poker face. I mean, and she was just so smooth and slick. I knew that she was very cunning. By the way, I love Kim.
Oh, yeah.
She's a great, great person. But I knew strategically she was going to just kill us. And so I picked her out right away. And I said that in my interviews. I told that to Troy and Jay. I told them straight up, I said, listen, I'm like, I cannot believe that you guys are falling for this.
Letting this happen.
I'm like, really? You've been with her for like 3 days? And I've never been disloyal to you guys, and you're going to pick her over me? I'm like, this is unbelievable. I'm like, don't you remember? Like, she's on the other side. So anyway, after the game, obviously, they came to realize that was true, but it was too late.
Why was Leaf given such a small edit?
A small edit? Was that like... Come on, man.
Well, you know what I mean. He was given a very...
edit?
He was given a little edit. And that's something that confused a lot of fans and viewers. We didn't get to see that much of him.
Yeah, well, because his answers were too PC, like... He would never, like, bash on people. He would never talk smack about people. He would always... like, try to be Mr. Nice Guy, and that's so uninteresting, you know what I mean? He'd be like, I'm a gentleman, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and, it's sad to say, but people want to see the Coltons, and the Brandon Hanses, and the Cochrans, the guys that talk politically correct the whole time, and the things that he said were kind of generic, uninteresting, and they were just kind of bland comments, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like a Cochran, you know what I mean? Like, the stuff that he said was just, like, so vanilla. It just wasn't interesting at all. So that's why he didn't get a whole lot of airtime.
Can you give me some insights into some of your strategies and some of your alliances that we didn't get to see at home?
Yeah, okay, so what you didn't see was, I mean, from the minute that I got on that beach, it was a mad scramble of all these alliances that were being made, and I mean, within like literally 30 seconds of arriving on that beach, me and Troyzan made an alliance. Colton came up to me and said, I swear on my boyfriend's life, I'm with you to the end. And I'm like, oh boy, okay. So, you just didn't see a lot of that, strategizing. There was so much more strategizing that went on that you didn't see. And that's probably the main thing that I was kind of like, wow, they didn't show any of the strategizing part.
They kind of just showed the game through Colton's perspective until he left, and then it was Kim's game. That's like kind of how the viewers saw it, with Troyzan doing some stuff.
Yeah. Colton was the airtime whore, man. I don't know. It was a little too much. It was a little too much.
Yeah, the Survivors had that problem. I think they did a decent job in Philippines, though, balancing it out.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really good balance. Yeah, it was a little obvious. I knew Francesca was going to go home this past episode just because of the way she was getting all the airtime.
I'm going to eat this rock if I get voted out. You're like, oh no. It was just like when you were talking about cooking randomly. I was like, no, not. What made Troy turn on you so fast?
He got brainwashed by Kim, man. I mean, it was like Kim had these brainwashing powers. I mean, she was just so convincing. I mean, in 3 days, she completely dissolved our alliance. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. But, if you talk to Kim in real life, she is just very genuine, and she has this ability to make you trust her. Like you would spill any, confidential information to her just because you felt like, she was like the most trusting person you could ever imagine. She just has this gift of getting people to trust her. I mean, that for me it was a no-brainer. That's why I voted for Kim, is because she was just so good. And I was baffled the whole time. I just couldn't believe that she pulled that off.
I want to go back a little bit, and us viewers and fans of the show have recently heard about something that happened during your season, and I'm wondering if you can provide some perspective on this.
Okay.
Colton has said that the reason he targeted Bill Posley was because Bill found Colton's hidden immunity idol and threw it into the ocean. And Colton threw a temper tantrum, and eventually they got him his idol back. Is this true?
No. Not that No. I don't think that's true. I'm almost 100% sure that that's not true. Mm-hmm. Because he was never able to verify that Bill did that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that that's true.
What was your best moment that we didn't get to see on screen?
Best moment that you didn't get to see on screen.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I don't know. Like strategically, it just has nothing to do.
Anything, any moment that you enjoyed, and yes, I threw a lot of curveballs. You have one more coming up later.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with strategy. But it was just a moment that sticks out to me that I replay over and over, like when I'm laying down at night, and it makes me feel really good. I made this soup, okay? You can read about it. People Magazine did an interview on me. But I made this soup. I called it the Samoan Seafood Bisque. And, like, people from my tribe still talk about this soup that I made. And it took me like 20 days to master this soup, okay? And I was able to make this breakthrough in a culinary sense, and I made this soup using all the elements, the limited palette that I had. So what I did, I scraped the dry coconut, and I had learned how to make coconut cream before in Hawaii. So what I did was I put all of that dried coconut in my buff. I washed it, of course. And then I just squeezed this thick cream into the seafood stock that I had made. And So, and then I added a little bit of coconut water, which is sweet. And then I added some salt water, which is salty. So it was like this salty, sweet, creamy, savory soup. And it had like crab stock. I used the crab shells, the fish bones. So Sabrina actually said after she drank, she's like, I would order this at a restaurant. I'm not kidding you. And like people were like, bro, this is so good. And like it was just this moment where for like 5 minutes we all just forgot about the game.
Oh wow.
And we were just like loving the soup. I mean, it was like one of those moments that I'll always remember.
So do you still make this soup?
No, I haven't made it since, but I thought about doing that as like a reunion thing.
Well, I heard you made a cookbook, right, about this, what you made out there on the island? Is that true?
No, I didn't do that. So, like, under contract, I can't do anything Survivor-related and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So there'd be no way to, like, market it without using the word Survivor or, whatever. So
well, doesn't
I
the
did
contract
think about that, but... no, but that part never goes away.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm not too worried about it. You know.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think you should make it. Are you gonna make it at Reality Rally?
You know, are you gonna be there?
No, I can't make it this year. I'm gonna try to go next year though.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, if you bring the ingredients, man, I'd be happy to make it.
I'm writing that down. Next year, making soup with Jonas.
Absolutely, man. No, I'm dead serious. I would love to make that soup again. So good.
I don't think you were here for this, but this is another kind of curveball question.
Okay.
Was it poop?
You mean Tarzan?
Yes.
If I had to guess, I would say yes.
Yes, okay. My goal
But
is
I
to
wasn't
ask
there,
everyone that and come to the truth of this mystery.
Well, I mean, think about it, man. The guy's 64 years old. It's very likely that he's losing control of his bowels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll give you a little inside scoop.
Okay.
So Tarzan, I'm not sure if you ever heard this story, but so Tarzan, he would keep his buff in his crotch. Okay, and we're like, why are you putting your buff over your unit? And he's like, well, my wife told me that, I don't mind you running around in your underwear, but if I don't want to see any silhouette. So he, to honor his deal with his wife, he would put his buff over his crotch, right? And it was the nastiest thing, because he'd be, like, chopping bamboo, getting all sweaty,
Oh.
And then, like, right before the challenge, they'd be like, okay, guys, we're going to go to the challenge. Let's put your buffs on. He'd pull it out from his crotch and just put it on his. And it's like, oh!
Oh, that is, oh, my God.
It was so disturbing. There were so many disturbing things about that man.
That's worse than the story of Kat when she like slept in her poop.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Story. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I believe that was when she was on the women's trial.
Yeah. I wish they would air that.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of like the human element. Okay.
Yeah, a little too raw for CBS, I guess.
CBS family. One last curveball question. And I asked this to Jimmy T 2 nights ago, and he was surprised by it. Jillian Larson was also surprised.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you do any celebrity impressions?
Can I do any celebrity impressions? I was being interviewed by a couple different radio stations, and they're like, has anybody ever told you that you sound like Rob Mariano? And I'm like, no. It's kind of a compliment, but not purposely, no. I don't think I can impersonate any celebrities that I know of.
Any cartoons? Anything?
I'm just not a real good impersonator, I'm sure I could do, like, I don't know, Mr. Miyagi or something like that.
Well, would you care to do Mr. Miyagi for us?
Sure.
Okay.
Wax on, wax off. That's pretty much all I know,
All right, it's good. Jimmy T did a great impression of a cartoon that I wasn't alive when it came out. So he did Mr. Magoo, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I think that was before my time too.
Yeah, so he was surprised that I didn't know Mr. Magoo, which I
Nice.
thought was funny. Um, so let's talk about Reality Rally.
Okay.
All right. So give us some insight. How long have you been involved with this?
This will actually be my first year with Reality Rally because last year, because my season hadn't aired yet, I couldn't go. I really wanted to go, but I couldn't. But I've met Jillian. I love Jillian. I think that Jillian is one of the kindest people on the face of the earth. I would have her in my home. I mean, I trust her. I mean, she's the kind of person that if you were playing Survivor with, she'd be very loyal and you'd want to go to the end with a person like that.
Or to the final four when you vote her out,
the
so that way she
sweetest-
doesn't win?
Yeah, I would cut her throat. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, final four, that's when you get rid of her.
I would win. Yeah. I'd be like, sorry, Jillian, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Anyways.
I only promised final four. No, anyway, so I love Jillian. I think she's the greatest person, and the Reality Rally is awesome. I mean, how can you not love the cause? And it's just, you know, it's just an awesome event. And from what I hear, like, because I've talked to a lot of the people that have gone to Reality Rally, and there's some of these events that are like considered kind of shady and questionable. I have never heard one bad thing about Reality Rally. Like, everybody that has gone is like, that is the best event, hands down. So,
Can you tell us more about some of the activities that go on at Reality Rally?
Well, aside from all the crazy people, you know, getting drunk and running around, you know, hooking up with other people, it's just supposed to be, I mean, you know, obviously for these women that are ill, to help them out, if they have cancer, and, you know, it's just to help, you know, people that are unfortunately dying of cancer, and just to make life a little better. And I think it's actually one of the greatest things that comes out of reality TV is these events where it actually translates into doing some kind of good for humanity. So I think it's awesome.
Let's say I can't make it to Reality Rally. Is there any other way I can help out?
Yeah, you could donate money. I mean, like, here's the thing. People feel like they have to donate, like, you know, $100 or, you know, $1,000. Shoot, if you can donate like $1, you know, and with donate $1, that's, you know, that's great. We can help save people's lives, and you don't have to bust out or break the bank to help out. Just, I told people, my fans on my Facebook page, I said, listen, this is an awesome charity. I don't get any of the money. If you can only afford $1, that's awesome. Like, there's no shame in donating $1 or whatever, 10, whatever you can afford. So, yeah, everybody can help, and you know, just do some good. Yeah, like, what's up with the whole fan favorite thing? Like, to me, I mean, I don't know. Like, for example, like Eric, was that guy a favorite? Like, I was just confused. I was like, wait, what? You picked that guy, like, over me? I mean, I'm not saying that I was, like, the all-time favorite.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what's so favorite about
Eric.
that guy?
Well, Eric's known for almost being able to win a season, but giving up immunity. Not like Malcolm, where he legitimately lost an immunity challenge. He had immunity, and he went, eh. And people argue that the dumbest move in history was JT giving the idol to Russell. No. That was the dumbest move in Survivor history. Because he had precedent. He had seen those girls backstab 3 other people. And then he let him up.
I know. And so that just kind of confused me. I'm like, what was their rationale behind picking that guy? Like, anyway, that just kind of confused me.
What about Philip? Do you think Philip's a legitimate favorite?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Philip, honestly, and this is no joke, like, I was looking forward to meeting Philip more than anybody at this last charity that we had. But unfortunately, he was sick and he couldn't make it. But no, like really, Philip is like one of my all-time favorite guys, still to this day. Him and Cochran, I would say, hands down,
Yes,
like the
hands down.
funniest guys ever.
So what about Corinne?
Corinne, I'm not really feeling her a whole lot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when your pride and joy is like how bitchy you are, like
That's exactly what I said in our recap.
I'm just not a big fan of that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll still like you if you are, but when you're like, yeah, look at how much of a bitch I am. Like,
Well, I said being a bitch is not a legitimate strategy. What is she doing?
yeah. So I mean, what can I say? She's there and I'm not. You know.
So you would go back if asked?
Oh, 100%.
See, that's the thing is, I feel like they need to do a season with all the people who just kind of made the jury and who had a lot of potential, bring them back. And not necessarily the biggest characters. But they could bring you back in the same season with Troyzan.
Oh, yeah, that would
they
be
should do.
interesting. Yeah. No, I would do it in a heartbeat. I really would. I tell people all the time, because I get that question asked to me, like, every other day, you know, would you do it again? If somebody told me to jump on a plane right now, I would drop everything and go. I mean, that's how much I love it.
Push the laptop off the bed. Go, bye, wife. I'm going to Survivor.
No, like, when I watched Survivor last night, I had this homesick feeling, like, oh my gosh, like, I would do anything to be on that, you know? So, I'm going to live my life as if, you know, it's not going to happen, but I would do it in a heartbeat. You know, I just, I love it, man. I love it. I still love it. I think I love it more now than I did before, just because I know everything behind it, and, you know, I've connected with some of these other players, and one of the greatest moments of my Survivor, I guess, whole experience was I got to meet Nalia. Do you remember Nalia?
Yeah, from season 4, that got second place.
Yeah, Marquesas. I mean, she was like the iconic, you know, person, and I met her. She actually contacted me via Facebook, and I was like so flattered. We went out to dinner, and I mean, it was just like I was so like starstruck by the whole thing, you know, and it was just so weird. And then, you know, to meet Richard Hatch and all these guys, like, I'm like you, man. I'm a super fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I meet these guys, it's just like, man. I think the weirdest thing for me was when I was at a charity and I saw Richard Hatch, and I went to go and introduce myself, and before I could introduce myself, he goes, "Hey, Jonas." And I was like, whoa, what is...
You're like, he knows my name.
But I just, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't think that, oh yeah, I was like, I was on Survivor. I mean, still to this day, it catches me off guard because I'll be like checking out at the grocery store and, you know, just out of the blue, oh, you're Jonas from Survivor, you know, and it's just like, oh yeah, you know, I just, like, sometimes I forget about it.
I forget that you were on Survivor. You live in Utah, right? Is that...
Yeah.
Okay, so are you connected with all the other Utah survivors like Rick and Dawn?
Yeah, absolutely. I talked to Don via text quite a bit. Rick has come up a couple times. We've had dinner. Angie Layton, Tyson, Apostle.
What did your wife think of you bringing Angie Layton for dinner?
Oh, she was covered up, man. It was all good.
Okay. It was not bikini model Angie.
Yeah, no, she was totally cool with it. But yeah, I mean, you know, she is hot, you know.
Yeah. And I think actually if she would have been on a better tribe, she could have gone far because she wasn't like that weak. You know, I think some of the other girls were a lot weaker than her. She just happened to be on a bad tribe.
Yeah, I just think that, yeah, she just had bad luck, you know. I mean, her and Malcolm could have had a really good thing. So yeah, I asked her if there was any funny business with Malcolm, and she denied any type of relationship. I was like, I don't know, man, that was That wasn't like the body heat kind of snuggling, man. That was like...
Yeah. I have to ask, in your opinion, because this is an argument I've been having, who is a better winner, Kim or Denise?
Oh, by far, Kim. Are you kidding me? Of course. Like, so the difference between Denise and Kim was, first of all, like, I mean, I don't want to say that Denise wasn't strategic at all, but Kim was just so much smoother and slicker at it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
she
I know
was
exactly
so smooth and so believable and so nobody suspected it. I mean, let me tell you how good Kim was. Okay, so when Jay got voted off, when Kim voted Jay off, he comes back to camp and he's like talking to me. He's like, yeah, I just want to know if Kim voted for me. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you seriously asking me this question? Of course she voted for you. I'm like, I told you before you voted for me that she was going to vote for you. You know? And I'm like, dude, she's running the show. And he's like, no, man. So, like, I totally trust her, man. And I was like, that's why I think Kim, hands down,
is the better.
In fact, Richard Hatch was in the audience at the live reunion for our season, and Richard Hatch even said that Kim was hands down the best player that he's ever seen play the game. And I was thinking the same exact thing the whole time. I called Kim and I said, honestly, that was brilliant. Yeah. Like, I had zero hard feelings towards her because I wish that I could have played the game that Kim played. That's the honest to God truth. Like, when I saw her playing, I was like, that's what I tried to do, but I failed.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, just that level of control. Do you think she could win again when she gets brought back for all winners season, which we all assume is going to happen?
Yeah, I think she could. I really think she could. Just because she's so sly, man. She's so smooth. But you know what would be cool is, like, to get all the people that got voted off first, like Francesca. But I guess there wouldn't be and that's the thing is, like, a lot of people, you know, they said, hey, you know, you're such a nice guy, and, you know, when at Ponderosa, you were like the mayor of Ponderosa, and you were all about the love, and I'm like, yeah, because I had two, it wasn't like I wasn't pissed that I got voted off. Like, I was pissed, and I would lay down at night and be like, gosh, I can't believe that happened. But it was one of those things where it's like, either I'm going to go into a deep, dark depression, or I'm just going to be grateful that I was on Survivor, you know what I mean? Like, how could you be pissed about spending 20 days on an island on your favorite TV show? So, anyway.
I do remember watching the Ponderosa videos. You were always cooking.
Yeah.
Is that how you found, like, solace?
Exactly. Like, the first day, I just sort of, like, veg, and I, like, rehashed everything. I was like, man, what if I would have done this? What if I would have said this? And why did I do that? And I was just, like, driving myself crazy. And so, finally, I was like, I just got up, and I'm like, hey, Chef Simon, I'm like, I hope you don't mind, but can I cook in your kitchen? And he's like, absolutely, man. And so he was so cool. They bought, you know, that big albacore tuna, and we made sushi, and that literally kept me sane. I mean, the food saved me. Like, if there was no food, I would have just, like, been on suicide watch.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about? Because I think we've done a pretty good coverage.
No, I think that's great, man. I just appreciate you having me on, and anytime you need my help, brother, I'm here.
Thanks again so much. I love talking to survivors. It's kind of like you talking to Richard Hatch. That's the same feeling I get talking to Jonas.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Colin.
You two have a wonderful night.
Okay, take care, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.